Good blessed early Monday morning, January the 24th, 2022. It's about 5:24 a.m. in the morning. I couldn't sleep well, so I had my son on my mind. But I greet all of you all around the world, all human beings on the face of this earth with the universal greetings of peace and the blessings of God be with you. It doesn't matter what your political, philosophical, personal, nor your religious beliefs may be. It doesn't matter whether you're the richest to the poorest person on the face of this earth. It doesn't matter whether you are the proclaimed toughest to the proclaimed weakest person on the face of this earth. It doesn't even matter if you're my family, friends, nor my proclaimed enemies. It doesn't matter whether you're black, white, or whatever your nationality may be. Light-skinned, dark-skinned, heavy-set, slim, short or tall. Doesn't matter whether you like me or like anything that I put on social internet. That's your prerogative. You have a First, 14th, and many other amendments to the United States Constitution to choose as you please. Today what I want to talk about is, I've been mentioning about my son lately, but justice for my son, Bryan Lamar Johns. Homicide, not suicide. Now, first what I want to say is, this flag was given to me at my dad's homegoing by some military personnel. They don't get this to everybody. This is what they call the United States flag, representing all the United States of America's citizens. That's what the flag, that's what they say the flag stand for. But you know, I beg to differ, and a lot of other people begs to differ. I don't burn the flag. I'm not going to look down on anybody that put their hand on their heart or, give high honors to the flag. I'm not going to look down on them on that. But when it comes to the death of my son, after my dad spent his young years, barely 18 years old, going to World War II. When he left this country, when he left to go to the military, when he was drafted, it was racism. When he was in there, it was racism. And I got YouTube videos when he was alive, may he rest in peace, when he mentioned, when he was drafted, how they separated the blacks from the whites in the barracks. And that was in the 1940s. But yet, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. I believe it was January of, 1863, I think. Somewhere around there. Could be wrong. But yet, my dad was still like it was slavery. But what I want to say is not only my dad, but my dad's brother, may he rest in peace. Ernest Ivy served in the Korean War in the 50s. My cousin, Ellis Wallace, may he rest in peace, died in the Vietnam War, June, I believe, the 3rd, 1971, gave his life. Each one of them that went into the military to serve for this country, each one of them left racism down here in the South, experienced racism inside the military, experienced racism with the exception of my cousin because he didn't make it back, Larry, died serving his country, but they experienced racism. My two young daughters going on 16 and 17 years old, we experience racism now. But I want to show you something about a racist Southern Illinois, Carbondale, Illinois Police Department a racist prosecuting attorney, even though he's not white, he's Spanish, for the Jackson County, Illinois prosecuting attorney's office. A racist pathologist, I believe she says she lives in Vienna, not Vienna, but Vandalia, Illinois. Now, the only one that I can give credit with dealing with the issues with my son's death is the Illinois State Police. You see, they only had limited evidence to go on, because when a police department declares somebody committed suicide, the Illinois State Police is not going to look at and take everything, the clothing and everything else. So the Carbondale, Illinois Police Department knew what they was doing. So they did, when I complained, they decided to send a squad, a few squabs off of the belt that my son was found hung with on March the 19th, 2021 in the 400 block of Oakland Street in the Gaslight Apartments on the 3rd floor in the hallway. They took a squab of the little D-rings that it is normally used for a buckle. They took a squab on the knots and part of the bag. But see, with the Illinois State Police, the little evidence that they did send, it shows that more than one person had their DNA on the knots where my son was found hung. It was 3 characters. 1, my son couldn't be excluded, and 2, unknown. On the D-rings, it was 2 characters. My son being 1 and the other one being unknown, saying somebody else was dealing with that belt. But let me tell you another thing. I worked on the ambulance, and I'm no doctor, I'm no pathologist, I'm no scientist, but I am a homo sapien. Look up the word, a homo sapien. I am a thinking being. You see, when my son was found hung, and I'm looking at the pictures. Now, this is his right arm, balled up like this while he's hanging. His muscle all the way through these bars on this 3rd floor landing, on the landing, and on the outside, his body is hanging from the 3rd floor. His other hand was like this on a bar. Not all the way closed, but like this. Now you look at this real good. It's stiff. If it's stiff like this and he dead, and the rest of his body is hanging, his nose is on this here. Remember, he had 3 fractured ribs. This hand here that was holding on to this, it was cut from here to here on the back, all the way to the tendons. But the only blood they found on him, besides the little blood that was dried up right here on his hand, was 1 drop of blood on one of his shoes, 1 drop of blood on the front of his pants, 1 drop of blood on the back. If you cut to the tendons all the way, you cut across here from here to here, all the way down to the tendons, blood gonna shoot out until it clog up. Wasn't a spread of blood around. But I want you to listen to this video, and it gonna tell you the stages when the body stiffen up. It gonna tell you the stages when the body first die, all the way up to maybe 6 to 12 hours. Listen to it real good. I'm gonna play it twice and then explain something to you to show you if my son's hand was like this here when they found him the way I just showed you with this chair. That means he had to already be dead, because this gonna tell you once the body dies, what happens to the muscles. It gonna tell you when rigor mortis fully set in. Listen good.
After we die, our bodies are designed to shut down, and physical changes begin to take place right at the moment of death. There are a few requirements doctors use to define death in a hospital setting. These include the lack of breathing, pulse, reflexes, and pupillary constriction in response to bright light. After death is confirmed, the timeline of physical processes is as follows. At the moment of death and throughout the first hour, all of the muscles in the body relax, a state called primary flaccidity. Eyelids lose tension, the pupils dilate, the jaw might fall open, and the body's joints and limbs are flexible. Because the heart no longer pumps blood, at hours 2 to 6, gravity pulls the blood to areas of the body closest to the ground, a process called livor mortis. In the third hour after death, chemical changes within cells cause the muscles to stiffen, a process known as rigor mortis. The first muscles affected are the eyelids, jaw, and neck. Rigor mortis will spread into the face and throughout the chest, abdomen, arms, and legs until it reaches the fingers and toes. Maximum muscle stiffness throughout the body occurs after roughly 7 to 12 hours, although this can be affected by other factors, such as the decedent's age, physical condition, gender, and air temperature. At about the 12-hour mark, the body again becomes as flaccid as it was at the time of death. Ultimately, we are learning that the bodily changes after death aren't random. Our bodies are designed to shut down in a programmed manner.
Now, did y'all hear that? They said when the body dies, once there's no more heartbeat, once there's no more breathing, we know, those in the medical field, we know once your heart stops beating and you stop breathing, the brain still get blood maybe up to a maximum of 10 minutes. But did you see what they said? Once the body dies, what happens? It then said it stiff up like this here with rigor mortis. It says the body relaxes. If you hanging from the 3rd floor on a railing and you stop breathing, your heart stop beating, and your muscles relax within the first hour. Then it goes on to say that rigor mortis started setting in close to maybe the 3rd hour. But it says it starts, it goes from the crown of your head to the sole of your feet. See, it goes to the face, the eyelids, the eyes. The eyes be dilated. My son's eyes was dilated. But it works its way down. It works its way down, y'all. In the last places that it stiffens up, they said the hands and the toes. Full rigor mortis is set in. When they claim that they reached my son's body, according to this here, you see, when you put lies together like all this here, you got to keep on lying. But you can't lie to Raymond Lewis Ivy. God gave me the knowledge to be able to deal with any situation I go into. Now, if you saying that y'all found my son's body, well, some Indian students found it, and you can hear on the call to the dispatch, the Indian student, I talked to him personally a couple of times. He said the dispatcher, and you can hear it in the 911 call. The dispatcher asked him, can he cut him down? He said, no, he's lifeless. Now, the paramedic in the police that was the first ones on the scene, they said they put electro pads on my son, and you can see the pads on him from the hanging. I have that. I just haven't disclosed it yet. But I'm going to do like Emmett Till's mother did. I'm going to show y'all his body sooner or later. But the paramedics put the pads on him, and said he was lifeless. He had no heartbeat. Now, when they put them on him, he was already set in. Hand balled up with money in it. And the money, the paper money that he had in his hand had blood in it, on it. Where did it come from? Now, the paramedics said that he was lifeless. Now, if they said he was lifeless at 1:27, we know rigor mortis didn't start in at 1 o'clock. You see what I'm saying? Rigor mortis started in within the first hour, they say. So if he was found at 1:27 p.m., he had to be already dead for full rigor mortis to set in. You racist white Ku Klux Klan, and I want the people, anybody that know me that's white, law enforcement, federal, state, or local, y'all know I'm not president, but when I say white supremacists, racist white supremacists, I'm talking about the Carbondale Police Department, racist white supremacists, and sellout Negroes that work there. In Carbondale, Illinois, City Hall Police Department. When I talk about racist, I'm talking about that Spanish, so-called Spanish prosecuting attorney for Jackson County, Illinois, who governed Carbondale, who closed my son's case with the police department, saying that it was suicide because they claim he said he wanted to commit suicide. I'm talking about that white racist corner, not corner, but the corner for the Jackson County, Illinois Corners Department, who governs Carbondale, Illinois. William Kufner or Thomas Kufer, he didn't even examine my son's body. He don't even have a report to tell me what he found as far as with my son. But it's a person that they call Sam Bryan. His last name is spelled the same as my son's first name, Bryan. Sam Bryan is the one that I met, said that he the one declared my son committed suicide. When they first came on the scene, he said the police and the paramedics said he committed suicide before they did any examination. But Sam Bryan can't be found nowhere in the Corners Department. When you Google up Sam Bryan for the Jackson County Corners Office, you won't find nothing there unless they just put it in there today. But you can find Sam Bryan at this white funeral home called Meredith Funeral Home, where they took my son's body to. They had a black mortician come to get my son's body. It's just like slavery days. Had a black poor mortician to come get my son's body, but not take it to the black funeral home, but take it to the white funeral home. You racist white supremacists. And then let's get to this pathologist who says she lived in Vandalia, Illinois. When I asked her about the position of my son's hand, it was a bike sitting up there. She told me maybe he was trying to grab hold with the bike. His whole muscles is through this bars, stuck like this here with money in it. She said maybe he was trying to grab hold to the bike and he thought twice about committing suicide and he was trying to get himself back up. I asked her to explain how he got this cut across his hand, cut down to the tendons. She said maybe he cut it on the paddle of the bike. If that's the case, then why didn't the CSI lady for the Carbondale Police Department and the police department take that bike and take it down to their crime lab? Because the bike was knocked over. Why didn't they take them plants that was knocked over for fingerprints? Why didn't they take fingerprints off of each one of them doors that was on the 3rd floor? Because there's 2 apartments on each floor. Apartment to his left and apartment right to his right. The space is no larger than this here. Door here, door there. Did you take fingerprints? I doubt it. Did you take fingerprints of the railing? Did you take fingerprints of the door downstairs? I doubt it. But then they don't have in here what a pathologist. I mean, the deputy coroner said he pried my son's hand open and took the money out. The CSI lady there. If you took the money out, you don't have to be a CSI. You don't even have to have common sense. You can be dumb and drunk. No, if you're going to take money up out of somebody's hand that's dead and it got blood on it, you ain't going to put it in the body bag, just like she didn't put the gym shoe that had blood on it. She didn't even see the blood on the pants in the back because they wasn't looking for it. But you see, let me show you something else. When you talk about rigor mortis set in now, you look at the temperature. The temperature on Friday, March the 19th, 2021 in Carbondale, Illinois was, I believe, about 41 degrees. It was wintertime now. That was outside. So if it was that cold outside, we know it wasn't that cold in the inside. Now, anybody that dies, you got scientists like the pathologists. You have scientists like the coroners, medical examiners can give you at least an estimated time of death. Nowhere in all of this mess that they have here, thousands of pages, 90% of these pages here is looking in the penitentiary, looking at mental hospitals, or looking for anybody to say that my son had mental issue. That's what the majority of this is in my YouTube videos, because what they do is follow them. But let me show you this here. Now, if my son was found at 1 o'clock or somewhere around 1 p.m., and the paramedics and the police came, then the coroner came, he told me my son's body temperature was 76. When you do the math, if the body was 76, you're going to take it by rectal temperature. I know for a fact he didn't take my son's temperature by rectal if he took it at all, and I'm going to tell you why. Because my son's shirts was missing. He on the 3rd floor on Oakland Street in the hallway, and a white female just miraculously said she found his T-shirts on the 3rd floor on the Sycamore side. On another side, they didn't take no fingerprints of her door. They didn't even examine her house because she said she took my son's shirts inside. What would you take some shirts inside? How did you know they belonged to him? But let's get back to the temperature. Let's get back to the estimated time of death. They don't have no estimated time of death. They put on the corner, put 1:35 the time my son died. My son couldn't have died at 1:35 if the Indian got called. We gonna say, hypothetically speaking, he didn't know whether my son was dead or not. But he said, he told the dispatcher, you can listen to the recording from the 911. He told the dispatcher he's lifeless. Ain't no need of me trying to cut him down. But the paramedics came. The paramedics came and put electro pads on him at 127. No heartbeat. And I don't even know why would they even put pads on him, because on the ambulance, when I worked on the ambulance in the 80s, maybe they do it different today. You ain't gonna put no electro pads on a parent DOA. A parent DOA, if your hand stuck like this here, you in rigor mortis. You see, 7 hours later, guess what? The body go back down. So that means my son hadn't been dead for no 7-something hours. But he had been dead at least about 3 hours because rigor mortis set in. Why is there not a time of death for my son? You know why? Because they knew my son was homeless. They knew my son was on drugs. They knew my son been in prison. the police department was using my son, and I got people down there to say it, and my son got a 911 call in here. He called the police from the mall not too long after his death and asked them, am I still on the police payroll? Why would he call and ask that? He knew something on these police, and the police probably got something to do with his death because they trying to clean it up. But this is one black man. You ain't going to clean it up. And all you individuals that keep on telling me to up this reward, telling me what y'all going to do to help, do it on your own because you ain't did nothing yet. Besides my two grandchildren, my grandson, my oldest grandson, and my youngest granddaughter, and my two youngest daughters, and me, we the only one been going back and forward down to Carbondale at our own expense, trying to get justice. You see what I'm saying? We the only one, with the exception of my oldest daughter in Chicago. And thank God for my niece, Sharika, and her her daughters and sons, and her mother, and anybody else that been consistent in calling and checking and see if I need any help on anything, or helping me consult my two young daughters who had been bothering them mentally. But y'all just, I was at my son's funeral and hearing all these individuals, oh, that was my friend. We did this here together. Anything he need, let's get a protest going. And ain't none of y'all did no protesting, ain't called me nan time. I've been up there several times, and people keep on telling me, talking about up this reward. You show me the money where you going to up the reward. And if you want to up the reward, don't up the reward, because the people in Carbondale that I'm dealing with, black and white, they don't want the money. They want to see my son get justice. But how can we get a speedy justice when you got people like the NAACP? I filed a report with them via email in Carbondale, Illinois. This female that run it, she got the nerve to have the title doctor. She worked hand. When I called and told her on the 24th that I don't feel the police is doing a just investigation, trying to say my son committed suicide, instead of her calling together all of her members, she called the police the same day, March the 24th, 2021, and told them that one of Bryan's family members said that they don't think y'all doing a just investigation. And the police called me. That's what they do with you house Negroes, doctor. You know what I'm talking about, doctor. You and your other individual that you got the head of the criminal department. Y'all is a bunch of individuals that's chasing after grant money, but you can't take that grant money to hell with you. Ask that judge that falsely convicted me down here in Charleston, Missouri, where he at now. God took him off the bench. Ask that prosecuting attorney that falsely allowed these people to put cases against me. Go to the cemetery and talk to him. Talk to some of these black police that's in the cemetery now. Talk to some of these Negroes that been coming around here attacking me and my daughter. Go to the federal penitentiary and talk through them through the window. I ain't got to lift my hand. God gonna destroy you racist, white supremacists, and you sellout Negroes. Am I angry? You damn right I'm angry. But God said it's okay to be angry, but don't sin in the anger. See, y'all don't want me to sin in my anger. If you check my background, if I wanted to come out of retirement, it'll be hell to tell the captain. But I'm going to keep on doing like I'm doing because I know God going to shut you down. Rock Hill Church, with all you sellout Negroes. Carbondale Police Department, you racist whites and you sellout Negroes. Prosecuting attorney, you got some of them sellout black ministers working for you down there in Murfreesboro, Illinois. Because you Spanish, black folks is hip to you now. White folks is hip to you. And Dr. Kufner with your little office in Murfreesboro, you and your wife. the way y'all treating them blacks in the Murfreesboro County Jail, and the way Dr. Kufner is claiming all these cases as being suicide. You better watch out. God is watching y'all. NAACP National Chapter, if y'all still allow chapters like the one here in Charleston, Missouri, ran by these house Negroes, in Carbondale, Illinois, ran by them house Negroes, if y'all still let them function, y'all ain't standing on the National Association for Colored People, because they ain't doing a doggone thing for black folks. But y'all check that out again. I'm going to play this again, y'all. Look how long it takes rigor mortis to set in. Look how long it takes for rigor mortis and all your muscles to go back to normal. Listen to this again, y'all. Turn it up.
After we die, our bodies are designed to shut down, and physical changes begin to take place right at the moment of death. There are a few requirements doctors use to define death in a hospital setting. These include the lack of breathing, pulse, reflexes, and pupillary constriction in response to bright light. After death is confirmed, the timeline of physical processes is as follows. At the moment of death and throughout the first hour, all of the muscles in the body relax, a state called primary flaccidity. Eyelids lose tension, the pupils dilate, the jaw might fall open, and the body's joints and limbs are flexible. Because the heart no longer pumps blood, at hours 2 to 6, gravity pulls the blood to areas of the body closest to the ground, a process called livor mortis. In the third hour after death, chemical changes within cells cause the muscles to stiffen, a process known as rigor mortis. The first muscles affected are the eyelids, jaw, and neck. Rigor mortis will spread into the face and throughout the chest, abdomen, arms, and legs until it reaches the fingers and toes. Maximum muscle stiffness throughout the body occurs after roughly 7 to 12 hours. Although this can be affected by other factors, such as the decedent's age, physical condition, gender, and air temperature. At about the 12-hour mark, the body again becomes as flaccid as it was at the time of death. Ultimately, we are learning that the bodily changes after death aren't random. Our bodies are designed to shut down in a programmed manner.
Do this flag represent me and my children? No, it don't. Am I going to burn it? No, I'm not. Am I going to look out down on people that honor it? No, I'm not. But it don't represent me and my family. It didn't represent none of my family members. 2 of my dad uncles, his dad brothers was in the military. This flag didn't represent none of us. It may represent some of y'all, but it don't represent me and my family. Because anytime I got to keep on trying to fight for justice, that little video right there show you ain't no way possible that my son gonna be set up like this here with money balled up in his hand, anything. If the muscles relax, once he hung himself, he on the outside. How did his arm get through this here? How did his arm get through this here? Even if he hung himself and he was trying to get in there, and then once he died, that hand gonna open up. Why is there not anything documented in here that the deputy coroner, which we question whether he's a deputy coroner at all. We know he's a white racist that's a director of the funeral home for the white funeral home in Meredith. Like I said, they use the blacks as house Negroes to come get the bodies. You see what I'm saying? But take them to the white funeral home. I wish I'd have had the money and did what a lot of other people told me to get a second autopsy, because I don't even know if they stole my son's organs up out of there. But one thing I know for sure, ain't no way my son hung himself. You see, unless maybe he died and then he asked God, well, Rick and Morty's finna set in 3 hours later. Can you let me put my arm in between here? Can you let me cut this here, but don't let no blood spatter nowhere? Can you let this white female find my T-shirts? The first time she said she found them was 8 o'clock in the morning. Then when I started making my YouTube videos, the police went back to her and she changed her story and said it was 11 o'clock. You see, white female 5 blocks away said she found my son's wallet 2 days after my son was found dead. But the police ain't nothing about that in there. Ain't nothing about the wallet in there. When I was going to get the wallet, all of a sudden, the same detective this girl described, they came and took the wallet from her. But we don't know where the wallet is now. White female and her black husband preying on homeless people had my son's food stamp card, spending his food stamps 39 days after he was dead. Died on March the 19th, 2021. She's spending his food stamps April the 29th, 2021. Police ain't arrested her. Prosecuting attorney ain't prosecuted her. But guess why? Because she white. My son is black. He had something to expose about the police. What would he call 911? It's an innate thing. What would he call 911 and ask them, am I still on the police payroll? And as people were telling me that the police had him wired up. See, the police used my son, too, in his addiction. They said he was mentally ill. All this shit talking about how mentally ill he was. So that's why he committed suicide. If he's so mentally ill, when you look at one of my videos and the Sergeant Guy Draper come to get him for a call that the people said that they didn't want to prosecute him, that they wanted to get help for him. And you look at where Sergeant Draper took him to, right back to the Samaritan house, when he said on his tape, recording from his police vehicle, telling the dispatcher and other people that Bryan is more likely high off of methamphetamine and crack cocaine. If that's the case, why would you take him back with this high that you said he was, and then you take him back and just drop him off? You don't go in there and tell the people that you think he high, but you putting it on the radio. You see what I'm saying? And then the other thing, y'all, look at the other video. The last time we know my son was seen alive was 24 minutes after 12 midnight. No more than a block or two away from where he was found hung. Now, look at this. If it's 12:24 midnight, we know how long it takes for rigor mortis to set in. He was beating on a white woman's door, and I videoed the area where it was. He had an axe in his hand that you can see the handle real good. You can see the brown. But the axe was found by the same white girl that miraculously found his T-shirt in front of her door on the 3rd floor, and then a mask on the 2nd floor. But the axe was outside on the side of the building. She said she happened to find it. First, it was 8 o'clock in the morning. But then she said that didn't work out with what the police was saying, so she changed it. She changed it about 12 days later. I remember now, it was 11:03 or 11:13 because I was going downstairs to get my food delivery from Walmart. Her food delivery was for 12 o'clock. Who would go downstairs at 12:13 in the midst of winter with no shoes on from the 3rd floor to the 1st floor and go outside with no shoes on, waiting over 45 minutes for their food to come? But you got to remember, this female on drugs. You got to remember, this female is white. Everybody connected with this thing is white, except the black guy who the white wife had the food stamp. So they don't want a racial thing, but it's a racial thing. And I'm going to prove it. You better look at my track record. R, Raymond Research and Recovery. Anything that I done hunted down, I found. Anybody that was doing wrong to me and my family, they either dead, not me doing it, God put them in the cemetery. Am I glad or sad? I'm not glad or sad. I don't give a damn what he at. Excuse my language. You see what I'm saying? When you messing around with God's people, when you messing around with the homeless, when you messing around with the mentally ill, when you disrespecting and misusing people because of they black and because they been to the pen and because they homeless, God gonna take care of you or your family. And I ain't gonna smile and I ain't gonna cry about it either. I'm gonna say, God, job well done. Peace be still.